Hello, friends and beautiful people. It is Kathryn Massell, elevated consciousness coach, 5D visionary, and conscious creatrix. Hello, and welcome to this week's weekly energy check in for the week of October 27th, 2019. We have this new moon in Scorpio happening now, and the energy is really, really potent. You're already feeling it. I don't have to tell you how this is creating some erratic, highly charged energy in your field, maybe resulting in some levels of anxiety or impatience, a feeling that things have to be dealt with a kind of abrupt energy or an impulsiveness. And it feels like this kind of shock to the system. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about also with this new moon, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. The energetics are asking you something really powerful here. They're asking you how willing you are to adapt to change. Because when this havoc and chaos ensues, like maybe many of you are experiencing right now, it's when new energetics, new energies are coming in, and unconsciously it's the havoc and the chaos comes from where we unconsciously don't want to evaluate or question where we're at. And so moving with these abrupt changes that our ascension process brings is really about finding that sweet point, that balance point on the teeter-totter or the seesaw, where we can move with ease and grace with the energies instead of being in opposition or feeling like we are in opposition to them. You are not being tested by the universe. You are being asked. The universe never tests you. That implies that the universe, pure source consciousness, has judgment. It has no judgment. We have judgment because we are an ego as humans. The universe has no ego. The universe has no judgment. So it's only and ever asking you. And right now, what the universe is asking you is how willing are you to adapt to change? You're being invited right now to reevaluate what is known or what you think you know. Where you are in your current experience is telling you a lot about what has been. But as we go forward on this ascension path that is rapidly accelerating and picking up so much momentum before the end of 2019 and taking us on this wave into 2020, where 2020, if you look at the year itself as a vessel, is extremely potent, extremely powerful. And it requires a willingness on our part to be flexible and to adapt lovingly and finding ways to, adapt with some grace and ease to the changing conditions of what's coming next. And if you are still evaluating your life, basing your decision making, your thought process, your belief systems on what has been, you are going to continue to be very, very uncomfortable. Everything is shifting. Everything is changing. The universe is asking you to question often the notions of what you believe is possible based on what has been. Because what is possible is no longer being based on what has been. Being in the moment of accepting what is possible, flowing with new potential, new probabilities, is all about being ahead of the past. And I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But question often, the universe is asking you to question often the notions of, let's just say, but this is the way it's always been, okay? Question that a lot. If you hear that in your own inner monologue, if you hear people saying it, this is the way it's always been, this is the way it's always been done, I was always successful like this before, all of that is changing. So resist the urge to evaluate your situation based on, well, I did this before, so I can do this again. You need to think bigger than that. You are staying stuck in the past, and in that very limited scope of perception about what can be. If you are evaluating, making decisions, creating belief systems, or anchoring into belief systems and thought forms based on what has been, there is an unfolding, or another way to say it would be a remembering process that's happening on a deep cellular level, where you are knowing what is possible without the need of validation from a physical event or physical standpoint. What the heck does that mean? Basically, this is you going 5D. But you have to unhook, or you are being asked to unhook, untangle, untether yourself from your past way of thinking about what is possible, so that you can be in this place where you're going 5D, where you are knowing what is possible, what potential is available to you, without the need on a 3D ego level of perception, without that need of having it see out play in the physical first before you can believe it. You are unfolding on a cellular level into remembering of this. More of your divinity is coming to the fore. From this vantage point of your perception, what's really happening is you're going 5D when you're in this place where you can feel the event, you witness it through a feeling or a knowing of an event before we witness it with our eyes in 3D reality. When we go 5D, we're witnessing an event through a feeling or a knowing before it actually happens. Some of you are calling it deja vu. Some of it are calling it precognition. Some of you are calling it being clairvoyant. Some of you are calling it being clairaudient, clairsentient, claircognizant. These are just words to explain it. But what's really happening when you go 5D is you have a feeling or knowing of this event or experience before your physical eyes can witness it in 3D reality on the physical 3D plane. This is happening more and more. What's actually happening when you're going 5D is that because 3D is a slower, denser reality, what's happening to show up physically on the 3D plane is like showing up closely behind, like a couple seconds behind before our higher self is witnessing it as a knowing or a feeling. Your higher self or 5D experience of something is happening just a beat, just a couple breaths before you actually physically witness something in 3D. This is exciting. This is already happening. But you must be in a vantage point of awareness where you can witness this through the feeling. But if you are still casting yourself into a very dense net or matrix of vibration where you are feeling that anxiety, that the things that you're trying to do or accomplish in this lifetime based on what you've known before, that when those things aren't coming to fruition, when they aren't happening, that casts us into a net and a web of self-doubt, of feeling like we have been abandoned by the universe, that we're not loved, that everyone else is experiencing these levels of abundance and we're stuck, scratching our head, wondering where our prosperity is because we're doing all this work. But what you're doing is actually forcing against something that is already a knowing. It's already a feeling within you. But the ego mind is trying to usurp that. It's trying to subvert your higher self and take over, sit in the driver's seat. So where are you doing things based on this kind of survival sense? Like, I have to do this or else. I have to do this or I'll be broke. I'll have to do this or I'll get kicked out of my apartment. That is not a creative way of accessing your higher self. That's you in ego. That's you in a place where you are superseding an energy within you that already has this knowing of how things are going to work out for your highest and best timeline. And the highest and best, not only for you, but the highest and best of all. This is ongoing. This is happening. But it requires that you discard the limitation of what you believe based on what has been known in the past, experienced in the past. This is all changing. You are stronger and more powerful now than you have ever been. As you gain potency and strength, as this current version of you is evolving, understand that your responsibility to be aware of the potency of your thoughts, your words, and actions increases too. So if you're mired in negative thought forms, I'm not saying avoid them. I'm saying look at them, look at why they're there, and vow to clear them. Okay? These are going to be even more potent because you are increasing in vibration, you are increasing in potency. So the thought forms, the emotional reactions that you have are going to be even more potent, more strongly felt, more strongly known, more strongly thought. Be responsible with your thoughts, words, and actions because the potency of those are increasing too. How you share that with the world. So let what you put out to the world come from a place of wisdom, saying, not negating what has been, but I have this wealth of experience that has brought me into wisdom, that has given me more of a sense of being at peace with my intuitive guidance. Let what you put out to the world come from that place of wisdom, come from that place of love, come from a place of service, And also, ultimately, right now, as many are going through this sense of anxiety, impatience, and impulsiveness, this highly charged electric energy that's throwing people, for a loop, it's entirely your responsibility to yourself and the rest of the human family to be really compassionate and understanding for all who are evolving right along with you, who are evolving into more of their potency right along with you. Be humble with your power, because not everyone is awakening to their soul's evolution with grace and ease, listening to things like this and understanding this process on a way where they can, process it. They can take it in or integrate it in a way where they can say, okay, this brings me some peace to know this. It puts some things into place so I know how to move forward in my highest and best timeline. Remember, there is some unpredictable influences happening right now. Very highly charged energy, very potent energy, bringing us the invitation from the universe to be willing to adapt to change. A willingness to be flexible with these ongoing changing, shifting conditions. It may be initially upsetting, but that's going to be more strongly felt if you are resisting this level of change, if you are resisting adapting, if you are resisting evaluating your life in a way where you are just open to new potentials unfolding and constantly trying to force outcomes based on what has been known or the way things have always been done, the way things that you have done that have always been the same way, that produced successes for you before. That's all changing. That's all being redefined. It's all shifting. Resist the urge to go for the old way and understand that what is unfolding is a better way, a more spontaneous way, a more divinely aligned way, a more divinely timed way for you to move forward. But this requires that you do this with an open mind and an open heart. So I'm with you all this week in spirit and in love, holding you in the highest frequency of compassion and understanding as I hold this space for you as a frequency holder to evolve into your highest and best good. And I'm offering love and peace and strength to you at this time to progress in your highest and best timeline and to take your journey forward with a sense of excitement about what is to come, about what is unfolding for you that you can't even possibly begin to imagine or wrap your head around. It's so good. So love and peace to you all. Bye-bye.